Hey guys, Justin here. It's week 13, which means that Maconi Setup Shop is giving away a free C Open setup for the week, and this week is at Sonoma. So if you've never tried NASCAR and open set for road before, now would be a great time to have a very competitive set. I am not the greatest guy at road, I will admit it, but this setup made me decently competitive, which is huge for me. So I will show you what I figured out with this setup and the tips that I have for Sonoma. So let's get right to it.
One minute, 16.94.
All right, let's take a look at that. So once again, I'm not the best road guy in the world, but this set got me within about less than 2 seconds to Bobby Zielinski. So I always count that as a win if I can get within 2 seconds of him. So let's see what I did here. I'll talk about what we do on the short run versus the long run. So qualifying lap versus the long run. So this is just going to be the run up here. No slow motion. I don't think it's needed for road courses. So really, it doesn't really matter how you do this hairpin. Just make sure not to light up your rear tires by sliding them. And I like to get into first gear just for that little extra boost off the corner for here. But again, I wait until my car is like almost off the corner before I get on the gas, or else I'm just going to spin the rears, light up the tires. You really don't want to light up the tires coming to your start, to the start of your hot lap. So this is going to be first lap. The qualifying set is only good for the first lap. Okay, so the line here is you actually want to set up right by the wall at the start-finish line, and then you want to kind of cut in towards the bottom and then back out to a diamond in a way. And then once you get to the diamond, you get off the gas a little bit earlier than you think you need to, because we do not necessarily have to set up for this corner, but we have to set up for the right-hander afterwards. So what I'm going to be doing here is I just get off the gas, start braking, and I'm trying to just stick my car to the yellow line, but not until the very end. Right as we get to the curb, I want to be on the yellow line. So my goal is to drive the car, kind of arcing it, and then finally sticking it once we hit that curb that appears there. Kind of blind. So anyways, yep. So I brake, trail brake a bit into the curb, and then once I get the car straight off this curb, that's when I shift from third into second. So we're third the whole way here, but once we get into this little tiny straight portion, that's when it's safe to shift into second. And then you want to cut right at the apex of this curb. I actually hit this a little bit early. I lost a bit of time here because I hit the curb too early. What I really wanted to do was kind of stay out a little longer and then cut in. But if you miss that cut in and just miss the curb, then you're really slow. So it's a real big balance of cutting to the curb at the right time while not missing it. And then at this whole stretch right here, it's really hard to go full throttle in second gear. So I recommend kind of keeping it between that 80-ish% throttle. If you go any more than that, you're going to start spinning the rears with any sort of wheel input. Mistake number 2, I clipped the grass going into this corner. I thought this was game over, but yeah, we don't want to do this. So if I didn't clip the grass, what I would more want to do is stay wide for a little longer and then set up for a wide turn, not only to the left-hander, but into the right-hander after this on the top of the hill. But I basically had to do with what I had. I hit the curb pretty hard there, which lost me a bit of time. But you can see I still got a good setup. So you see, right here at the crest of this hill, the curb kind of juts out and then goes away. We really want to just clip our right side tire right there, right at the point of the curb. If we take it any more aggressively, it's not going to set us up for rotation off the corner. And then you just drive it all the way out to the other curb. This whole sequence was a little bit screwed up for me because of that grass clip. But you can kind of see what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get a little bit late apex into that curb, set up for just a clip of that curb right there, and drive it all the way out to this curb. Second the whole way through, no shifting. You're going to see that it's maxing the revs. Don't go into third. You won't need to. And then we're going to go brake pretty early here. I'm really trying to get the early cut into this curb now. You don't want to take too much. If your wheel is in the air, that's too much. But you really want to get your right side tire on that curb just to kind of shortcut as much as you can. If you jump too much, you're going to get sent right towards the wall. So you see, that might have been even a little too much right there. I couldn't get on the gas quite as early as I wanted to. So you see, if I took a little bit less curb there, I would have been able to get on full throttle like right here. But because it kind of sent me straight instead of getting rotation, I had to wait on it a little bit longer and then go full throttle there. So just a little bit, tiny mistakes here or there, which all add up, and this is how I lose over a second to the best times that you'll see. But it's all about knowledge and then just repetition and execution. So here's the first part that kind of differs between short for qualifying run and long run. So here we're gonna brake really early and basically almost right as this wall goes away. You see that wall going away there? I brake pretty much right there. I'm setting up super wide. And my goal is to just apex this curb as late as possible. I don't want to hit that curb right at the beginning of the curb. I want to wait on it, hit it late. That was even too early in my opinion. Because the later you hit it, the more set up you are to get on full throttle earlier. So you see how right here, I kind of am off the curb, but I still have a line that would go through the grass. If I was able to apex later, I would have more of a line that was able to go straight. So that's worth about a tenth in my opinion. Maybe more if you're really good. So what differs here is you can go into first gear here. You see how low the revs got. I chose not to, but on your qualifying run, you can very well choose to go into first gear there, and you might get a little bit of a boost off the corner. But in race run, I recommend not going into first. In fact, I do not recommend going into first at all in the long run. And I actually don't think I went into first in this qual lap. It's not that much of a difference. It's definitely better to go into first gear in scenarios like picking up the throttle off of this corner. But it's not that much better that it's a deal breaker. Okay, so I like to get into third gear early here before these two curbs. I clip them a little bit, it doesn't matter too much. And then one of the biggest things in both the qualifying and the race here is not to overdrive these S's. It's so tempting to gas up right here. You're like, oh, I see daylight, I want to gas up there. You will not make this next S for the life of you. In fact, I barely made these S's just because I got a little bit greedy and went half throttle there. And now I had to like full on brake. So it's going to be very easy off this corner if you're carrying too much speed for your car to want to spin to the right. So really make sure your car is balanced before you're slamming on the throttle. I like to actually track my car a bit out to the left on purpose just to make sure that I'm not spinning out there. So you see what happens, I got really loose. I had a couple better runs off the S's where I just tracked the car out a bit farther to the left. So instead of trying to pin it here and set up for the next wide left-hander there, I kind of let my car track out there and then almost took it more shallow. And it seemed to just be more consistent. So that's what I would do for race run. Here I got a little greedy and kind of went for the heavy throttle and set up for a wider next corner for the qualifying run. And it worked out here, but man, it's sketchy. Okay, keep it in third, no shifting. Get right on the curb, just as much as you can. And then right as you're coming off the curb, get into a trail brake, or really not even a trail brake, maybe a quick stab at 50 and then into a trail brake. And then that's just like any fast right-hander. You want to either graze the curb or be barely off it. You don't want to hit it too hard or else you're going to go straight off the track. and you just kind of be patient on that and let it drive up to the other curb. I could have driven that a bit wider. It's funny, you can see little tiny mistakes in every corner that I do, and that's how you can tell I'm not an expert road racer, but I know what to do at least. So anyways, for the last hairpin here, this is another thing that'll differ a lot between race and qualifying, and the fact that I can go into first here in qualifying. I actually don't. I was playing it safe. I was on a good lap. I'm like, but you can definitely get about a tenth or two if you get into first and use that engine braking efficiently and get off the corner without spinning the rears. I get on the brakes about right after this little dip here. You see this dip? Dip right there. And then I get on the brakes right after the dip. And then you just kind of drive through the cones because why not? And then you just hold the brake, drag it as you're rotating, and then pick up the throttle. Second, you can stomp it a lot more. First, you have to be super feathery. But if you do it right, it's definitely a lot more speed off the corner. Take a look at that one more time, that whole sequence. So yeah, just heavy braking, heavy braking. You can almost go full brake there without locking up the tires as long as you're in a straight line. And then you just roll the bottom, pick up the gas, first or second, depending on what's comfortable for you. But if you're in the race, definitely do second. And we get back to the start-finish line for a decent time. All right, so the main goal of long run here, if you haven't picked up from the previous couple corners I talked about, is you want to do whatever is possible not to spin your rear tires. If you spin your rear tires, that's going to make your race just a real hell. It'll just compound over and over again. Your rears will be the surface of the sun. You're just going to be sliding everywhere. So just be really mindful of the lines that you take and the amount of gas that you're inputting, just not to slide the tires. The biggest culprits are going to be the S's. They're going to be the hairpin if you go into first gear, and they're going to be that fast, the fast right-hander leading up to the hairpin. All three of those are fast corners that are very tempting to overdrive, and if you do that and spin your rears, they'll all just compound on each other, and you will not have a good time after a few laps in the race. All right. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I can help, or maybe somebody around here who might know a little bit more about road than me. But hey, this setup is good. So if you want a setup that will take you to a level where you're not normally at, like I am right now, well, then go check the link in the description. All right, thank you all for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you all on the track.